Okay then folks, let me introduce you to a new product from Appishire and a new addition to the Embed family, and that's a new Embed Method Feeder. Now the Embed Feeder it's been a brilliant success. It's caught an awful lot of fish up and down the country, be it carp, you know, F1s, crucians. You know, we get contacted by anglers all the time to say, you know, how it's worked for them, but the game changer on that and all the R&D we put into it was the clip on the front of the feeder. Now that clip ensured your hook bait remained on the feeder. It's not a bolt rig, it's still free running. It comes out the clip dead easily, but that clip enabled you to ensure that your hook bait, you know, be dead maggots, banded pellet, whatever it may be, it was always guaranteed to be on top of that food when it hit the lake bed. Now there's several reasons why we sort of come up with that concept originally. You know, fish today we're at Meadowlands, you know, the fish here close in the edge and, you know, on that feed line, they feed aggressively. You're not talking about one or two fish in a gin clear lake, you're talking about several big carp competing for food, you know, on the lake bed. And this food gets moved around a lot, you get pellets, ground bait thrown up in the air. So you want to make sure your bait is where you want it to be. And you know, that was one of the key elements in the development of that feeder, that when we designed it, that made the difference. And it certainly made the difference to my fishing. A lot of, you know, consultants that work with us, it's made a lot of difference to their feeder fishing. But yeah, the Embed Feeder was a great launch platform for us really into the feeder market, and this new product is, you know, going to sort of like help us expand on that range, and we're working on several products to fit into the range as well. Okay, let's talk about some of the key features on the new Embed Method Feeder. Now, first and foremost, you've got the clip. We've kept the clip. That was so important to us. And you know, the reason we've done that is it gives you so many options. You know, that clip, you can start off with a 4-inch hook length, but you can actually make that hook length 3 inches, 2 inches. You can adjust it by pulling it back and forward through the clip, so you can, you know, you can adjust that hook length to suit how the fish are feeding on the day. And the beauty about it as well, if you're fishing pop-up baits, you know, a lot of people fish wafters now, punch bread, or, you know, popped up bread in the winter. You know that bait is just sitting above your feeder if you're fishing that type of style. So it was so important to us to keep that clip in place. Now, around the area of the clip, you notice that there's a lot of weight forward in this feeder. And the reason for that is to sort of two things. One, your feeder casts more accurately as you're casting. You know, it flies through the air. You know, some feeders, once they're loaded as well, they sort of drift off slightly to the left or right at times, even if there's no, you know, there's no wind, just because of the aerodynamics of it. So that weight forward on that feeder was so important to us. So what we've done is we've made sure there's a lot of weight on the front of the feeder, ensures more accurate casting, and it counterbalances. Once your feeder is loaded full of bait, it counterbalances that as well. So it's very aerodynamic. So you've got the line clip, you've got the front loadedness of the feeder, and then you've got the sort of the centre of the feeder where you want some room for that bait, for that hook length bait. That hook length bait is so important to have room. You don't want to be caught up in any catching under the little bars on some method feeders. You want a lot of room for that hook bait to move. So what I've actually done, the veins on the feeder are sort of sprayed. It's sprayed away from the centre of the feeder, and that protects your hook bait. There's nothing to get caught up on, or to get caught under the veins where your hook can twist and get caught under. There's a lot of room in the centre of that feeder. What we've also done as well, obviously interchangeability, that is so important. If you've got a range of embed feeders already, these new method feeders will interchange with those stems. So you can just slide one off, slide one on. So you could start your fishing session with a standard embed feeder, for example, catch a few fish, there's more fish that move into your peg, you want to change. It gives you that option of simply sliding it off a stem and putting a new feeder on. So it gives you that flexibility as well. And we're also working on a lot more range additions to this range as well, so keep your eyes peeled for those. But again, they will all work off its interchangeability on the feeder. Now, there's 3 sizes in the range: small, medium and large, and there's 2 weight variations within those sizes. those weight variations are exactly the same that you get on your embed feeders as they currently are. So it gives you a good flexibility. You know, I think we've covered majority of the conditions you're going to come across, and with the weights and variations we do. Now, with the additions of a new Embed Method Feeders to the range, it was only right to design a range of method molds to suit. Now, there's 3 sizes in this: small, medium and large, to complement the sizes of new feeders. And what we've done, we've kept the design really simple, not complex at all. And the reason for that is working with consultants. They says the key element to it is the bait must not stick. You know, that is the most important part of it. And secondly, the bait must mould well around the feeder as well to ensure accurate casting. So through the sort of research and development of trying various different materials in the prototyping sort of process, we've come up with sort of almost 100% silicone mould. Very, very simple, but it works extremely well. And it doesn't matter, you know, we've tried all sorts of heavy ground baits, light ground baits, pellets, everything you can possibly imagine. You know, we've tested to see if we can get it to stick in these moulds, and it's impossible because the material doesn't let it stick. So, you know, it's a real simple design, but they work extremely well with the new method feeders. You know, both method feeders and moulds, they've been used by the consultants on a wide various of venues as well, from like big places in the winter like Boddington, Albans Lakes, you know, Barston, places like this today, Meadowlands, you know, Bream venues. We've used them on a whole range of different venues just to make sure the product's right, it targets the right fish that you're aiming to catch, and they've caught a stack of fish. So, you know, this is your opportunity now to top up that and catch some fish of your own, because both Embed Method Feeders and the moulds will be in the map stockies in the next couple of weeks.